All right, how we doing, everybody? Bobby Gaines here with another sure-be memorable sports rant. A lot going on in the world of sports right now, and of course, should be no surprise that I'm going to get in on it as well. And with the baseball season coming up, there'll be plenty more to see with everyone's somewhat favorite Boston baseball team. But I'm going to get on to a story that actually is kind of cool, and that's the Boston Celtics. Now, I've talked about the Celtics before. I've kind of not wanted to talk about the Celtics just because they keep changing their team so many times, or they kept changing their team so many times that even whether they were lousy or not, I just didn't even see the point. It was like, oh, how do you feel about the Celtics getting Tayshaun Prince? Oh, never mind. And, they traded Rajon Rondo, who was, of course, the last piece of the championship team. I might have talked about that already. Probably did. But I think what got me more mad about them trading Rondo was just that they didn't really get anybody of value. And the few players they got, they traded a couple of those. Then they traded Jeff Green for, again, more draft picks, more stuff. So at that point, I'm just kind of like, you know what, I'm done. I don't want to watch the team. There's really no point. And then they did something interesting. The trade deadline, they got Isaiah Thomas. And I'm like, Isaiah Thomas, I know he's not an all-star, super great player, but he's a pretty good player, and he's not a player that you get just to trade him, he's not like a backup or a super backup. He's somebody that started before in the league, and he's somebody that, for whatever reason, Phoenix had room to move him, and the Celtics had a couple picks that they wanted, so, again, now I kind of look like I have egg on my face, because it's like, well, that's what Danny Ainge wanted to do. Now, see, I don't like to subscribe to that theory either. I think that this trade just kind of came about at a good time. But what kind of surprised me is just that the trade happened. Like a trade that just benefits the Celtics, whether they trade Isaiah Thomas or not. Just a good trade happened. That's what surprises me, is that they didn't just trade some good player for nobody. And, they're kind of to the point where they don't have any good players left to trade. But, it's kind of weird now. Now that Rondo's not on the team, it seems like it's more balanced. It seems like Olynyk's getting the ball often, Zeller's getting the ball often, some guy named Jerebko. Evan Turner's been a pleasant surprise. He had a triple-double the other night. So it's really weird. Now that you don't have Rondo on the team, you're able to see these other players put up, okay numbers, but together they're actually a decent team. I actually don't mind watching this team contrasted with the Boston Red Sox, where I feel like they have all this talent and they should be a fun team to watch, but last year they were just a torrential disappointment, and unfortunately I see more of the same this year because they really didn't do anything to shore up the pitching. I know they got capable pitchers, but again, that's a sport where I expect more. Baseball, I know that in baseball there are more players on the team, so you're not going to have a superstar at every position, but pitching's where they really needed some depth, and they got none. Now you look at the Celtics, you could say they don't have any big superstars, but they actually have depth. They have a depth of players that are decent enough, where even with Isaiah Thomas out for a few games, they've been able to win them. And they're in a playoff position now, and I think it's kind of funny how the fan base has come around on, let's get into the playoffs, let's fight and scrap into the playoffs, completely ignoring the fact that if the Celtics make the playoffs, they're probably going to be a first-round exit, most definitely. So it is kind of funny that all of a sudden now, the team is better, don't get me wrong, but they're not markedly better. They're not, going to the second or third round of the playoffs or the finals, by any stretch of the imagination, even though Brad Stevens does have a history of taking unknown teams to kind of the national stage. So, again, I give Brad Stevens all the credit in the world for getting the most out of these guys. And if they had Jared Sullinger, maybe they would go up to the 6th seed or whatever. But again, where does that get you? I just kind of find it funny that the same thing that people were worried about happening kind of is happening. The Celtics are becoming a okay team, good enough to make the playoffs, but could be out in the first round. And is that what they want? That's what I want. I just want them to be decent. You got to be decent before you can be good. You got to be good before you can be great. And that's my theory on it. But I'm afraid Danny Ainge might consider trading some of these pieces in the offseason. I really hope not. There are a couple pieces here and there you might trade, but I would hold on to Evan Turner. I would hold on to Isaiah Thomas. I'd hold on to whoever, I just hope that there's not going to be another flurry of trades for more draft picks. I think, draft picks are good to have, and they're going to have them. The Celtics are going to have a lot of draft picks in the next few years, but are they going to draft the players? Are they going to trade the picks? If you're going to make a trade at this point, I'd like to see it be another Isaiah Thomas type of move. Pick up a second or third decent player to put with what you have. And, a lot of me would like to just kind of have that blind faith in Danny Ainge and say, yeah, that's what he'll do. In this offseason, he'll get a couple good players to put with the players we have, and maybe next year we're going for the 5 seed instead. But I just have a bad feeling. I don't know why. Maybe I'll be wrong. I have a bad feeling that no matter what happens this season, you could see Olynyk traded. You could see someone traded. It doesn't make sense. I know it doesn't make sense, but neither do a lot of the moves. And then you could see those players get traded for draft picks or other good players that get traded. So, again, I like to be cautious. But for right now, I'm enjoying the ride. It's going to be a good last couple weeks of the NBA season for the Celtics. It's something to look forward to, unless they just lose every game. But, assuming they play it as well as they have, they should win enough games to get in as the 8th seed. And then we'll see what happens. So, just want to get some thoughts from Celtics fans. Do you want to see them keep going for the playoffs? Does it really matter? Because even if they miss the playoffs, they're probably not going to get a high draft pick. They're going to get like a mid-round draft pick. So let's stop worrying about the draft picks and just start worrying about the team right now. And see what we got. All right, I'll talk to you later, guys.